talked us down to the railway. That's what got me involved, and saw it, got hooked. It was no more complicated than that. It was suddenly something I found really interesting, and luckily you could become involved at a fairly young age, and that was great. So it was a new hobby very much at the time when I needed one. Yeah, our customers come from far and wide. I mean, the railway's been running for 90 years. It's pretty much famous the world over. Often when you're talking to people, they know the railway before they know the area. They can sort of size the area from that. A lot of the people who are staying in the area will be from Europe, they'll be from Scotland, they'll be from the northern counties, and those who are doing day trips will be mainly from London and South East. And they're in a pretty equal mixture depending on the time of year. But certainly this time of year in the high summer from all over. But we do get a splattering of folks from Australia and New Zealand, where railway enthusiasm is quite a thing, just like it is in the UK. And even a few from America who generally have the biggest and the best, but do admit that this railway, at this size of railway, is probably better than anything they've got. And that's a rare admission from the US. The railway is special because it was completely daft why it came about. Two people had enough money to build the biggest railway set you could ever build in model. They did it with one of the most professional, clever engineers you could wish for, who built the scale of a third size engine on a quarter scale track. Very clever, because it was going to pull real size people. And the combination of them and him, the finance and the clever engineering, built something that was really out of this world, but didn't really have a sensible purpose other than fun, and continues to do that today. It is for fun that we're here. The winter on the railway is very different, but we still continue now. We're very proud that every weekend of the year we operate public passenger trains, even though some of them are for Father Christmas purposes. We also do a lot of maintenance. We relay our own track with our own staff. We maintain the engines, we rebuild the engines, we rebuild the carriages, we clean everything. So quite a lot of people, volunteers and paid people, are working on the railway right through the winter, as well as even more in the summer. The railway has never shut in all of its 91 years, although the war years it was taken over by the Royal Engineers, and had three purposes. Firstly, to take troops up and down the coast in the early years when they were preparing for war. Then during they had their armoured train. That was a little bit of a home guard sort of effort, but it was very important for the morale of everyone that the railway had its own protection. And it's alleged it shot down a plane. I think the plane probably had engine failure about the same time as they were firing. And then, most important of all, pipeline under the ocean was set up from some houses just across the way from us here, and that was the pumping station to take fuel to the Normandy landings. And the railway workshops and the railway track was used both to prepare the pipe, which was a very high pressure pipe, and in cover of darkness to drag it out over the old railway lines and then feed it to France. So we like to think that we played a pretty key part in that period, and of course quite a lot of damage done during that time, but it was then gradually put right in the late 40s and 50s, and well, now it's really sparklingly good. What's most precious about what's happened is that in 1971 the railway closed in the autumn of 1971 with an expectation that it would never open again. It was rusting away, people had used it, Captain Howie, the original owner, was dead, and the feeling was that really the railway had had its day. And it was at that point that a call went out from the railway staff saying that, please, is there anyone out there who will make a difference? And a whole bunch of guys, funnily enough, one of them actually dining in the cafe here today, and he's well over 90, started to collect money. He was part of the Chamber of Commerce at Hythe then, a guy called Bill Hewson. Sir William McAlpine, who's passed away this year sadly, who's been our chairman for years, was another. And they then called upon anyone and everyone, including guys like me who only had £100 to invest, but we all put our money in, and that saved the railway. And then since, everyone's been working hard to bring it back to a good standard. So it's a mixture of some quick money to make it save, and then lots of slog afterwards. And that's what's the essence of this railway. People prepared to put huge amounts of personal effort in, not only to make it good, but to keep it good. And that's what we cherish the most. Well, the railway runs through Romney Marsh, and it runs out to Dungeness, which is unique in its own right. The number of different animals that we see as we drive along is quite significant. They're all English, British wildlife, that when you know where to look and when you know to see it, and the fact that we are going through areas that are protected and alongside farmland that is well looked after, makes the journey even more interesting, and for us it's very special. In fact, once a year we run a safari train at breakfast time out over the marsh just to look at our own indigenous birds and animals. We work alongside all the agencies, so I mean particularly at Dungeness we know the local warden, we take advice from him if we're building or changing anything, but we don't want to spoil what we're in anyway. We've been here 90 years, we want to continue to be part of it, but we're always liaising and we're all friends with those people. Right, I'm going to have to move now guys or the train's going to be late.